This lesson we're going to be introducing some fixes for the game, and as we saw last time, we can keep producing multiple planes, and we actually don't want that. We don't want the ability to produce more and more planes every time we hit the start button. So we need to hide this start button and this game message area until we actually need to make use of it. So let's introduce another class, and we can just call that hide, and using display and setting it to none. And what we're going to do, we're going to add this class to that element when we hit start. So that's going to hide that message area until we need to make use of it. So we've got our game message object that we created in the earlier lessons, taking the class list method, and we've got one called add, and that's the one that we need in order to add a class to that element. I'm also going to be updating some of the way the game message looks, because it does look a little bit plain, just being words. So I wanted to update some of the values there, as well as do a position absolute for it. So we have an option to move it around a bit if we need to. And also we're going to set it off of the bottom, or set it off of the top as a percentage. So top 10%. We can do a left 20%. And that means that our width should be 60% to center our message. So that's 60 plus 20, so right 20 would be 100% as full. Also, text align center is always a good way to go. Setting up a background color to distinguish it. I'm going to set it as Alice Blue for now. Set the font size so the font is bigger. How about we do 2EM and save that. So let's try that out and we'll see that we get this press here to start game. And when we press it, it disappears. So we can't actually press it again, and that's exactly what we want because we only want that one plane object. So let's do one more condition just to double check and make sure that we're not interfering with already existing gameplay. So doing player in play, and this is the only time while we're in play. If it's not in play, then that's when we create the new plane. So let's try that one more time. So now I can keep pressing and I'm not producing a second plane. So there's a few other things that we need to still take care of, a few other bugs. Notice that the plane can go off screen, so that's not good. So we need to create a bounding area for the plane. And that's going to be relatively easy to do because we're already checking to see if our arrow keys are up. And before we actually allow this action to take place, we can see the value of player Y. So taking arrow key up and the value of player Y, and make sure that it's greater than 0. And if it is, then we could subtract off of it. And correspondingly as well, let's take this one and make sure that player Y is less than, and we're going to set it at 200 because I don't want the plane going all the way down. So we're creating a boundary area for the plane to interact and moving it left. So we want to make sure that player X is greater than 0. And this one here, we want to make sure that player X is less than the offset of the game. So player X is less than, and this is where we're going to use some dynamic values. And being dynamic is always better because in case you change the area, the game area size, we can use that value that we saw earlier where we've got the offset width minus, let's subtract 50. To account for the plane size. So we're going to make sure that the plane essentially can't run off the side of the screen. And one more bracket there, so let's refresh, try that out. So now whenever we move over to the right, you see my my left arrow is true, but I can't move any more to the right. I can't move any more to the top, and I can't move any more to the bottom. And let's just make sure that our boundary box is working. So we can't move any more over to the right-hand side. So that's great. Now we've added in the boundaries for our plane to be able to move around and navigate within. So go ahead and add this into your project as well. And coming up next, we're going to introduce some more of the gameplay that we need to take care of, including moving the plane automatically, because we want the plane always automatically to be going forward, as well as we're going to introduce some scoring. So that's still to come in the next lessons.